I thought that I had seen it all in crypto, but this week I stumbled upon a prediction so wild that it stopped me in my tracks. Someone out there genuinely believes that XRP will hit 10,000 a coin, and that's not even the craziest part. So I did what any curious crypto veteran would go ahead and do. I went on a little fact-finding mission. And what I discovered about this 10k XRP rumor actually turned into a bit of a roller coaster of math, market realities, and a few hard truths that every XRP holder needs to hear. Now trust me here, this story isn't just about one ridiculous number. It's actually about the way that hype can build us up and blind us, right? And also the surprising thing that I found when I peeled back some of those layers. Now, buckle up here, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly why some people are screaming $10,000 XRP from the rooftops, and why they might be just in for a rude awakening. And hey, if you want to kind of chat about these crazy predictions or anything else in crypto, then you can jump into our free educational Discord. There's a link in the description below. We've got a whole community that loves dissecting all of this stuff. Okay, so let's set the stage then, right? It's late at night and I'm just in one of my usual kind of scrolling sessions, and I come across this post from a community member. Let's call him Mitchell. And he's on X, and he's basically just saying that XRP isn't just another crypto asset. It's the money facilitator of the new financial system, right? Destined to underpin every global money transfer network, right? SWIFT, DTCC, central bank digital currencies, tokenized real-world assets, you name it. Now, in his view, XRP will be the glue that is holding it all together. Okay, so it's a bold claim, but I did keep on reading. And then I saw his price prediction. It is actually between $10,000 and $50,000 per XRP. Yeah, you heard that one right. 5 digits for one token. That's currently worth just around $2 and some change. And my immediate reaction was, is this guy serious? As someone who's been around the block a few times and survived a fair few crypto hype cycles, my skeptical alarm was going off loud and clear that I could practically hear it. Mitchell's argument was basically this: if XRP truly becomes the backbone of global finance, then facilitating trillions in transfers, the price, it has to soar to those insane levels in order to handle all of the volume. So think of it like this: if the entire world's money is flowing through just one token, well, each coin would need to carry a ton of value. It's kind of like saying that if we only had one bucket to hold all of the water in the world, well, that bucket better be huge. Now, I am all about XRP's potential. I hold some after all, and I do love the tech, and I've been in the XRP community long enough to remember the legendary $589 by the end of the year prediction from 2018. Yes, that was a thing, and people thought XRP would magically hit $589 by December of that year. Here's a spoiler though, it didn't happen, did it? Right? And $589, it feels like child's play compared to $10,000. Now, I couldn't just laugh this off. I needed to know if anyone actually crunched the numbers on this $10,000 fantasy. Lo and behold, though, enter ChartNerd, a crypto technical analyst who's got a reputation for calling it like it is. Now, this guy sees Mitchell's prediction here and basically says, nope, it's not happening, not ever. Now, he even urged people to stop with all of the nonsense. It's harsh, maybe, but sometimes a reality check in crypto is necessary as a bit of a seatbelt on the roller coaster. Why is ChartNerd so confident that $10,000 is impossible? Well, it's partly because of the math, right? So let's do a quick reality check with some of the numbers, and I promise I'm going to keep this pretty simple. You see, XRP has a supply of around 100 billion tokens. So if there were $10,000, or if each one were $10,000, the total value or market cap would be, $10,000 times 100 billion, right? Drum roll, that would be $1 quadrillion. That was with a Q. Now, I don't throw around the word quadrillion, just that often because, well, frankly, it's we don't deal in, I guess, quadrillions in our everyday lives. We barely deal with trillions or even billions. So it's an absurdly large number, isn't it? Now, for context, If you add up the value of every stock, every piece of real estate, every ounce of gold, basically all of the wealth in the world, you're going to get to something like $471 trillion, give or take a few, right? Now, the global money supply, all of the currency that's circulating out there at the moment, that is around $95 to $100 trillion. So, a $1 quadrillion market cap for XRP would be worth more than all of the wealth on Earth combined by a factor of 2. So let that kind of just sink in for a moment, right? We're talking about one crypto being worth double everything else in existence, right? Even the most die-hard XRP fans, they have to admit it sounds a little bit insane. And that $1 quadrillion figure was just the minimum 10K target. Mitchell actually floated up towards 50,000, didn't he? So that's 5 times more, right? So we'll be talking about $5 quadrillion. And at that point, why not just say $589 quadrillion? You know, really kind of blow our minds a bit. It's pure fantasy land. But here is the kicker. Somehow, the entire world adopted XRP, like if the entire world adopted XRP for all financial settlements, it still wouldn't actually need a 5-figure price tag, right? This is where a lot of the misunderstanding really does come on in. You see, Mitchell's thinking seems to be that high price equals the ability to move value. It sounds logical on the surface, I know. Like, if one XRP is worth an awful lot, then you can transfer huge sums of money with just a few tokens, making global settlements much easier, right? But that's not really how liquidity works in the real life, right? Imagine that you have a $100 bill, right? And you can use that $100 bill to pay 100 different people $100 over and over and over if you just keep passing it around, right? Well, you don't need 100 separate $100 bills for each transaction. You could reuse the very same one that you already have. Similarly, the same XRP can be used, then transferred, and then used again to settle multiple different transactions throughout the same day. Right? The token itself moves, the value moves with it, and it can just be reused. Now, this is a fancy term, or the fancy term for this is called the velocity of money. The bottom line is that you don't need every XRP to be worth $10,000 to move $10,000 worth of value. You could use one XRP worth $2 or, to move $2 a billion times over if you really wanted to. And, it would facilitate far more than $2 in total transactions over time. Now, don't get me wrong, I would love to see XRP go to the moon as much as the next XRP holder. I remember when hitting $10 kind of felt like an impossible dream, right? And hey, we might get there one day if things go well. But $10,000? That's not investing optimism, that is fantasy role-playing to a degree. So at this point in my research, I had to pinch myself and ask myself some pretty harsh questions. Are we all losing it? Why are folks so obsessed with these kind of god-tier price predictions? And there's actually a psychological aspect here. In a bull market, and we're kind of on the cusp of one of those within the crypto market right now and crypto heating up again, people kind of get a bit greedy, don't they, right? It's kind of like the adrenaline rush, right? You see a token pump and suddenly everyone is a profit predicting outrageous numbers. We've lived through a couple of these cycles in the past, right? OGs remember the 2017 ICO craze, right? Good times. And what I've learned is whenever something sounds just too good to be true, it almost always is. Here's a quick story. Back in one of those earlier bull runs, a rumor spread that a well-known banking coin was about to announce a secret partnership that would send its price into the stratosphere. Now, I loaded up my bags on that coin, picturing myself retiring early. Here's a spoiler alert though, right? That partnership was either completely bogus or just didn't have the effect that people thought. Now, I didn't lose everything, but I did learn a rather expensive lesson about critical thinking versus blindly believing all of the hype. Now, from then on, I promised myself no more Kool-Aid without the facts. So, getting back to XRP, ChartNerd, the analyst, didn't just throw some shade here. He backed it up with his own prediction. He said, look, based on the charts and the realistic growth, XRP could hit around $27 in the future. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking $27, that's it. But consider this. As of today, XRP is around $2 and a little bit of change. Now, if it went to $27, that would be roughly a 1,000% rally from where it is today. That's a solid 10x, right? Turning $1,000 into $10,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I would be pretty happy with that kind of return. And $27 would imply a market cap near $2.7 trillion, since XRP's total supply is 100 billion tokens. I mean, it's not all out there in circulation, so it'll be, different, but, $2.7 trillion is a round number, and it's still a pretty massive one at that too. It's kind of like the value of Apple and Microsoft combined together, but at least it's within the realm of possibility if crypto truly does go mainstream. And of course, we have to acknowledge that market cap is not real money, it's just theoretical. You take the last traded price of XRP, multiply it by the circulating supply, right? That means that, I purchasing, XRP in early 2020 for around 11 cents, is now worth $27. I didn't add the extra money to the market cap, right? Although every single coin is valued at $27, gives you the market cap, I certainly didn't pay $27 for XRP. Therefore, the money doesn't really exist. It's just a theoretical notion of value. So don't get tripped up thinking you need to have trillions of dollars of inflows to actually pump the price up. You would actually only need a handful of a few billion dollars, considering how thin the liquidity actually is on the order books, which, is quite a complex subject. So if you want to learn more about it, you can jump into the Discord. That link is in below. Anyway, Apple alone is worth around $3 trillion as a company these days. So $2.7 trillion, for network facilitating a big chunk of global finance. Sketchy, yes, but not completely bonkers, is it? And I think it can be done just through speculation without much utility driven either. ETFs could be a massive catalyst for something like this. Anyway, it certainly does break the laws of economics if you're used to thinking about supply demand, but not really understanding how crypto market caps work. But anyway, I guess breaking the laws of economics with a $1 quadrillion, it would definitely do that. Anyway, at this point in my journey, I did realize something rather important. Whether it's $27 or $10,000, people are latching onto these predictions because of the fear and the greed. Right? The fear of missing out if it does skyrocket, and greed, imagining how ridiculously rich they would be if they held 1 million tokens. I do get it, of course, right? I really do. Now, who hasn't played the mental game of if XRP hits, I don't know, insert crazy number, then I'll buy a yacht and an island and never work again, right? I've been there, sitting with a cup of tea, daydreaming about these things. But then I snap back to reality and focus on what is actually probable, not just what is possible. Now, I do need to address the elephant that is in the room here for a second. Financial advice, because any time that we talk about price predictions, there is a very fine line that we need to be careful with here. So let me be absolutely clear and drop the obligatory yet super important disclaimer. And it might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor at all, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's continue our little saga here. Now, if XRP isn't going to go to $10,000, does that mean that it's a dud? Absolutely not. XRP is still one of the biggest cryptocurrencies for a reason. It has real utility, lightning fast settlement times, and major companies behind it. Even some central banks have been testing or using the technology. So, Ripple partnerships and whatnot. But there is a difference between believing in a project and just guzzling down the delusional opium. You see, I personally think XRP will have its day in the sun. Maybe it'll be $10, maybe it'll be $50 someday, some years down the line. Who really knows? But I'm not planning my retirement around some kind of magical $10,000 scenario. Instead, I'm going to focus on steady growth and making sure that I'm prepared for absolutely anything. And preparation is something not enough people are actually talking about in their moon boy fantasies. You see, I do have a rule here. Always have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C when it comes to crypto. Right? That means multiple exchanges, multiple on-ramps and multiple off-ramps, all set up and verified way ahead of time. Now, I'm talking about KYC being done if you need to. 2FA, maybe even having a YubiKey for, really secure exchanges. And obviously testing small trades to make sure that everything works as it should, the whole shebang. Why do I do this? It's because XRP or any coin that you hold does go wild. If it does go wild, then maybe not $10,000, but let's say it does do a 10x or something crazy like that. Exchanges, they might just get overloaded or even temporarily shut down new registrations. Now, I don't want to be the person scrambling to open up a new account or recover a password when it is time to make a big move. So, as someone who's been around the crypto block a few times, I've got accounts on all of the major exchanges that I trust. We're talking Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, right? So 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗰𝗱 and other newer names too. You name it, I've probably got an account there. In fact, I've partnered up with Kraken to reward viewers just like you. So if you do sign up with my Kraken link that's in the description and trade $100 of any crypto, excluding the stable coins, of course, within 30 days of opening your account, Kraken will drop you $25 worth of XRP into your account as a bonus. It's a limited time offer, basically free XRP, and it's a great way to stack a little bit more. Plus, it never hurts to get familiar with Kraken's platform, ahead of the next bullish wave, of course, so you're not caught off guard. Now, if you are interested, more details and the terms and conditions and the sign-up link are all in the description down below. And yes, it is an affiliate link, which means if you do use the link to sign up and snag this bonus, then it actually does help support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. We call that a win-win. And since I mentioned a few other exchanges like 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗰𝗱, etc., there are a few other platforms that I use. And I actually have a link in the description down below to my website where I list all of the exchanges that I actually use and trust, right? And all of those on my website are also affiliate links which support the channel here at no extra cost to yourself. So if you are looking to diversify your exchange game, then definitely go ahead and check it out. I really do appreciate anyone using those links as well. But, for the most part, having backups or backups for your backups is just good crypto hygiene, in my opinion. I mean, sure, it might sound like I'm paranoid, but who remembers just a few years ago when FTX, a major exchange, if you will, went down into liquidation and it took all of your assets with you, right? Never keep your assets on exchanges if you don't need to. I use Ledger hardware wallets. Also, you'll find links in the description below for that too, right? Because when an exchange goes down, it usually goes down right at the worst possible moment. And people who only had that one account, they were either locked out or they lost everything, right? Now, I was thankful that I had plenty of other options, and I never used the FTX exchange because, well, I never liked Sam. He just didn't come across like a legit guy. Anyway, with that being said, having a plan B, plan B, C, D, E, etc. is just like a lifeline in crypto. So think of it like having multiple bank accounts or multiple credit cards. If one is not working, you do have alternatives. All right, let's get back to the story at hand here. Where does this kind of leave us with our $10,000 XRP myth then, right? Because after going through all of this whole saga, here is my takeaway. It's healthy skepticism, and it is your best friend in crypto, right? Question the crazy claims here, but don't become so jaded that you ignore any real progress. Right, XRP might not buy you a Lambo or Lamborghini for each and every coin that you hold, right? But if could still surprise us in a lot more realistic ways. There's also a bit of a silver lining here, right? These wild predictions get people talking about XRP. They shine a spotlight on the crypto community's hopes and dreams, and sometimes the misunderstandings too, like the market cap. Now, it's kind of like a mirror reflecting the mood of the moment. Right now, optimism is kind of creeping back into the market. Bitcoin is doing its thing, Ethereum's looking relatively strong, and XRP is holding steady in the top ranks. People are excited again, and excitement breeds speculation. Some of it productive, some of it, well, $10,000 XRP. Now, as someone who has weathered multiple market cycles, I do encourage you all to channel that excitement into learning and to strategizing, not just daydreaming. Join communities like our Discord. It's always open and there's no pressure, of course. You can ask questions, you can read the fine print on the news stories. Heck, read the white papers or at the latest maybe developer updates if you're into all of that. Right? Ground yourself in reality, even as hope, it's as you kind of hope for the best, right? Because when you're grounded, you won't panic sell on the bad news. You won't be remortgaging or mortgaging your house on a forum rumor either. In the end, right, all I did here was track down the $10,000 XRP myth, and to be honest with you, what I found was equal parts fascinating and just a bit absurd. I mean, fascinating because it shows just how passionate the XRP community is, right? People truly do believe in this project enough to imagine it becoming the backbone of an entire financial world. But it is absurd here because believing in something shouldn't mean abandoning all sense of scale and reason at the same time. So, is XRP going to $10,000? Well, I'm comfortably saying highly, highly unlikely. Like the winning the lottery while also getting struck by lightning, kind of unlucky, right? Or unlikely, I should say. But is XRP worth paying attention to? I'm going to say absolutely, right? Sometimes the truth is less sexy than the myth, but it's still pretty exciting if you ask me. Now, I'm going to keep on holding my XRP. I'm going to keep on following the developments, and I'll definitely keep calling out some of these crazy ideas when I see it, right? Because it's just like I did today, because like at the end of the day, who really truly knows what's going to happen? Maybe in a few years we'll look back and just laugh at this, right? Hopefully from the deck of a modest yacht, maybe even a mega yacht if it really does go to those crazy levels. Anyway, hopefully you have found some value in this video today. If you have, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you all in the next one.